So good morning, lovely people. Welcome along to another design radio show with me, Miles. This morning, today, this evening, wherever you are in the world, we are going to be looking at some inspiration. Sites, websites that are design oriented and are gonna rock your world in terms of inspiration when you're starting out on a project and you're lost for ideas, or maybe you've got too many ideas, or maybe you just want to avoid doing the project. Yes, the internet is your go-to resource, the perfect distraction. But there's no denying there is a lot of good stuff instantly available to us on the interweb. So I thought I would have a look at some of my personal favorites, I suppose. Some of the sites that I'm browsing a lot. I'm using them to kind of not just find inspiration. Sometimes I'm just wanting to stay in touch with what's happening in the design world, see what other people are doing. Sometimes I'm looking for work, quite frankly. Some of these sites are a good place to start looking for jobs and so on. But anyway, by the way, the music this morning is provided by the very wonderful Stacey. Soul of House, Stacey, Summer Mix 2015. So that's going to be keeping us company throughout, and thank you guys for such a marvelous track. Alright, so let's get into it. So my first pick is Dezeen. Now, Dezeen's been kicking around for quite a few years. It was created by a guy called Marcus Furs, who was originally, I believe, the editor of a print magazine called Icon. He may have even been at Blueprint before that, I cannot recall. Blueprint was a kind of trendy, must-have design print magazine for architecture and interior design students back in the day. I haven't seen it around for a while, I don't know if it's still being published, but anyway, I digress. Let's stick with Dezeen. So Dezeen, as I say, it's been around for a while. I like the way Dezeen is put together. It's very, as you can see, clearly designed and nicely laid out, easy to kind of navigate. Lots of beautiful pictures, which of course, if we're looking for inspiration, has got to be a plus, right? Now, I would suggest it's probably biased towards architecture and maybe interiors and product, probably more so than, say, fashion, photography, that kind of thing. But nevertheless, it's a really cool site for all kinds of things. Over here, as you can see, it breaks its content down into, most popular and most commented projects. Let's see what's kind of trending at the moment. So we've got 10 idyllic Greek island homes from Dezeen's Pinterest boards. IKEA's Fracta has broken through into design consciousness. What would that be about? I'm not sure. Looks interesting, I might delve into that in a moment. Google has finally revealed its plans for London's HQ. Laura Snyder and Keith Burns create home in Overhaul Brownstone. Peter Zumthor, famous architect, Stilted Zinc Mine Museum captured in new photography. Okay, I'm most interested. I'm just going to quickly check into IKEA's Fracta has broken through in design consciousness. What's this all about? Oh, it looks like a jock strap, if you ask me. Yeah, I would say that's probably the intent. This looks like a fashion story. Rather than something related to AI and other things, so I'm quickly going to leave that behind. But yeah, maybe let's check out what's happening with Google's HQ in London. by Thomas Heatherwick and Big. So this is it. This is going to be in King's Cross, I believe, which is an area of London that's undergone massive redevelopment in recent times. I can't say, my first impression is this is not a project that I am thinking, wow, that looks amazing. And I like Big and I like Thomas Heatherwick, but this looks not fantastic, if I'm honest. Let's see what the comments. People are tweeting about it. Zombie garden bridge grafted onto the Google HQ at King's Cross by Heatherwick and Big. Marriage made in hell. Yeah, I think I agree with you there, Catherine Slesser and Ollie Wainwright. At least they've found somewhere to recycle the garden bridge. Great. Good on you, Ollie Wainwright. What he's referring to there, if you don't know, is Thomas Heatherwick. In fact, it's referenced here in the story. Thomas Heatherwick designed a new bridge across the Thames, which was actually, I rather liked it. So we'll see the picture in a second here. It's just coming up. So this garden bridge, it was a pedestrian bridge. As you can see, it was designed to be a longitudinal garden spanning the Thames, and I think it would have been a really cool project for London, but it hit a lot of controversy from the get-go, really, and alas is doomed, it would seem, not to be built now. So London Mayor pulls the plug on the garden bridge. So we're not going to be seeing that one anytime soon, but at least he's now got a project in King's Cross in the form of the Google HQ to kind of help still pay the bills, Thomas? Although I'm sure that's probably not been a problem for him, or Big for that matter, of late. So there you go, that's Dezeen. As I say, I like this site. It's got a lot of nice stuff on it. I like the way it's laid out. It's also, as I mentioned, got a jobs section, very useful for you upon graduating or well past graduating, even, so what I like about Dezeen Jobs is that it's although Dezeen is a London focused or UK based site, it's international in its outlook, and that applies especially to the jobs. So you can browse jobs, for example, by location. We can see how many jobs that are currently on the site are listed in which countries. So there are 5 at the moment going in Australia, 2 in Belgium, 26 in China, 4 in France, 5 in Germany, and so on and so on. And you can follow them, of course, on social media. Follow them on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all of the usual suspects there. So that's Dezeen Jobs, and as I say, it's a good go-to website for general news about what's happening in design. Dezeen, I like it. Alright, let's move on to the next one, which is something kind of a little more focused, I suppose, and kind of quite a bit different from Dezeen, actually. This is the Design Chaser. Now, this is basically one lady's blog. All right, this is her. This is Michelle Holford. Founded in 2012 by interior stylist and writer Michelle Holford. TDC, the Design Chaser, is a global blog with a focus on Scandinavian interiors and design. So it's very, very nicely put together, this blog, and I've been following it for a few years. Obviously it's interior design focused, biased if you like, although she does break it down into categories to do with architecture and art, and it's all relating to design, but breaks it down into easily identifiable categories. So let's just check out some of these for a moment. That was architecture there. Let's have a look at furniture for a moment, see what's happening. Simon James Designs monthly mood boards. Simon James blah blah blah. I've introduced a new project, monthly mood boards. Okay, cool. Oh, looks very nice. Yeah, so as you can see, it's beautifully laid out, nice use of white space. The photography is always first class, very high quality photography. And what I also like about the Design Chaser is that Michelle Holford is a designer herself, an interior stylist. She was working on projects of her own, and she writes well. You know, she writes interestingly, and yeah, it's a good one to get a more focused kind of insight. You know, obviously the projects tend to be smaller, I would say, in scale than, you know, the likes of the projects that you'll find covered on Dezeen and so on. But yeah, that's to be expected. It's focused on, it's oriented or geared or aimed at people, I suppose, in the interior design market more than any others. And those projects, by nature, you know, tend to be rather smaller. And let's say more instantly contemporary in that they are all about the now. What's happening now in the interior design world in terms of, you know, the latest trend, I suppose. So the Design Chaser. She also has a shop on there, and you know, she's selling her own designs and prints and furniture and lamps and other people's as well, you know, so you know, you can find some nice inspirational ideas for presents here, if nothing else. Okay, and yeah, the only thing I would say I'm not that thrilled about, you know, the Design Chaser, it does carry advertising over here, but it's always very relevant. It's not overpowering. It sits, as you can see, nicely within the design of the blog, and it's never a distraction, and it's never going to kind of spoil your enjoyment of browsing the site. Okay. It also has a search facility, which again is very nice. So you might want to see, you know, I don't know, search for chairs, for example. Find out what's happening, the latest in chair design. So we see some nice dining chairs here. This is the Wishbone chairs. This is the Feast Watson Relove project. Okay, which I have no idea what that is. Looks like an upcycling thing. So yeah, it's all good. It's all very nicely thought through. The Design Chaser, DDC. And of course you can follow on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and Pinterest, and just like the blog in general. I'm gonna not get into that right now. Let's move on to Design Milk. Now Design Milk is, again, it's another one that's been around for quite a while now, and I would say it's kind of similar to Dezeen in some respects, in that again it covers a fairly broad spectrum of content. It tends to focus, it's an American based operation, very obviously. I think you get that within a few minutes of just browsing it, but and it breaks down into architecture, art, home, interior style, tech, travel, video. So it's kind of somewhat, I guess I would say, a hybrid between, you know, a lifestyle site and a site that's aimed at, say, serious design professionals, but perhaps. But nevertheless, it's again nicely designed, nicely laid out, and easy again to kind of navigate, and we can just have a look what's happening at the moment in the architecture section. Miami Beach homes with swimmable lagoons, and Skyline House by Terry and Terry, a modern California house, Toronto row house. So yeah, my only real issue with Design Milk is that it is very kind of North America centric. That it focuses far more on apartments over that side of the pond than being truly global in its outlook. Although you do get the occasional project elsewhere. For example, we have over here 50s farmhouse in the Netherlands is renovated and gets an extension. A long narrow house nestled in the side of Mount Macedon. Happy birthday, 150th birthday, Frank Lloyd Wright. Brazil, we've got something in Brazil over here. And south of France. Let's have a quick look at the south of France, purely because I have a vested interest in the south of France, quite literally in the form of a house there. So I just want to check out, where could this be? Is it anywhere near my place? And it looks nothing like my place. In fact, I was going to say I wish, but this project kind of strikes me as rather cold. What? Stark white in exterior. Yeah, no kidding. Has a minimalist silhouette so as not to clash with its surroundings. With its lack of windows, it would appear that the interior would be dark and closed off, but it is just the opposite, thanks to the courtyards. Well, that's good to hear. So at least it's not a black hole inside. But actually, yeah, it's just the opposite, isn't it? It's a white hole. And again, yeah, minimalist. Interior features are kept minimal, yeah, with a clean colour palette and limited decor, which keeps it feeling larger than it really is. Well, yeah, still don't know where it is. Yeah, this looks kind of more like my kind of neck of the woods. Yeah, I'm going to have to do some digging and research. Does it say at the top, have I skipped over too fast? On a small plot of land between a vineyard shed is a project by Arte Labo in a village in the south of France. Well, the south of France actually covers a rather large area, so I'm none the wiser. But I'll search it and find out a little more later on. As you can see, once again, Design Milk does carry advertising, and it is a little bit distracting, I would say. It's annoyingly relevant to me. They obviously, clue into my Google and know that I'm interested in buying a slider at the moment, which is slightly spooky, isn't it? But that's Google for you. Oh look, a Singapore project. I'm living quite near to Singapore at the moment. I might go and check this one out. Oh, it was posted on 2014, so maybe not quite so recent now. But so actually, and a project in Japan. I'm taking it back. There's more international content on Design Milk than I gave them credit for at the beginning of this review. So there you go. I must confess, I haven't been on it in a little while. But there you go. So also there's a podcast that you can get into and listen to, a clever podcast about design and other things, dog milk, and which is basically the shop to do with pets. And then there's another shop related to fashion, jewelry. So yeah, Adorn Milk. So not missing out on the opportunity to try and cash in and sell you stuff wherever they can. Welcome to America. So anyway, moving on to Architizer. Okay, now again, Architizer has been around for a while now. As the name would suggest, it's very much more focused on architecture. It's aimed at professional architects or architectural professionals, whichever you prefer, and students. I would suggest to an extent you're going to get a lot of interesting projects on here from which to draw inspiration, broken down into sections on the menu by project. What I like about Architizer is that this really is an international site in its outlook. You can see that immediately. It's covering stuff all over the place: Italy, Brazil, New York, China, wherever. Yeah, really, truly. I don't think there's a more a better site that at covering pretty much anything that's of any significance everywhere in the world, everywhere on the planet. That's Architizer. There's also a products section, which is useful if you're at the fit out stage of a project, if you're looking for furniture and so on. It's also good for the technical aspects. You can see things like here, for example, curtain walls and things like. The products section breaks down into easily navigable categories. So yeah, furniture and office systems, desks and workstations, for example. So very nicely laid out, as you can see. Easy to navigate, beautiful photography. What's not to like about that? There's a brands breakdown also, which I tend to ignore by and large. And then Architizer source. I don't really use this a great deal, but if you're interested in getting into the value of projects, you can ostensibly learn quite a bit about costing and so on from Architizer source. It's not something I really would suggest is particularly inspirational. But let's go back a couple of steps and let's go to the awards section. Architizer regularly dish out awards, so you can see what's kind of championing or being championed at the moment in all kinds of competitions. And here's a Zaha Hadid's Mesna Mountain Museum project, for example, Stephen Hall's latest museum at the and Contemporary of Art, and so there's also a store and a search facility. So yeah, you can easily check out whatever it is that you're trying to find. I'm interested in doors for some reason this morning. So there are both products and brands and stories relating to doors. This is quite a nice research tool, actually, as well as an inspiration tool. Okay. Architizer is also pretty cool in that it allows you to create your own collections and things, for example. So you're interested in a particular category of design or designs, then you can start to create a collection and build up. For example, I've been looking at the Maggie Center collection that I put together recently. Maggie Centers are basically they're what's the word? Respite, or no, not respite. They are for cancer patients in the terminal stages of the disease. Maggie Centers are a charity. They were set up in honor of the late Maggie Jenks, married to architectural critic Charles Jenks, and there are now many Maggie Centres all around the UK in particular. So Frank Gehry, for example, has designed a Maggie Centre in Dundee, and this is the latest one, which is in Merseyside, near to where I'm from originally, and a nice breakdown, lovely photography, and it allows you to download the photography as well, which is a nice thing. And of course there's a comments section, so that this is a community as much as anything else. So that's Architizer. Moving on, we have Wired. Now, Wired throws itself into a number of kind of different topics. It's been around. It's started as a magazine focused really on technology and the future and gaming and all the rest of it. But as it's evolved now, it's become much more web focused, let's say, and as you can see, breaks down its topics of interest into business and culture and design and gear and science and security and transportation. Obviously we're really most interested probably in the design section. There is always a lot of interesting story content on here, which is very, very up to date. For example, we have the latest thing that's been going on with Trump this week. The internet defines code thief, the rather bizarre tweet that Donald Trump came out with in the middle of the night a few days ago, and had everyone kind of very puzzled. What's the meaning of code thief? And of course the internet went into kind of overdrive and turned it into a meme. And here we've got President Obama, and it's still with Joe Biden, having a good laugh at that. So it's as I say, very, very focused in the now, what's happening now and what's happening tomorrow. I would say is Wired, but lots and lots of interesting stuff. This particular video is all about Steve Jobs and his pitch to Cupertino City Council on Apple Park, because this pretty large building, as you can see, is the new Apple HQ that's going up now in Cupertino. So that video was actually Steve Jobs' last public appearance, where he was basically pitching to the city council to allow Apple to build this new HQ, which is almost complete, as you can see. So this story is very interesting. Basically, the guy is given a guided tour by Jonathan Ive. Johnny Ive is the chief designer at Apple, responsible for your iPad, iPhone, pretty much everything that's come out of Apple in the last, 20 years or so.
And as you know, Cupertino is very famous for Apple Computer, and
Yeah, it is. Thank you very much for your contribution there. Anyway, so what's good about Wired? Okay, well, Wired, as I say, covers a number of topics in and around design. So it's good for, you know, getting the bigger picture. I would suggest, you know, design does not live in a vacuum. I keep telling people this. I don't know if they listen, but I keep telling them design doesn't live in a vacuum. You know, stuff happens around and in the world all the time, and some of it is going to have an influence, either consciously or subconsciously, on what you do as a designer. And it's good to know, it's good to kind of have what we would call world view. You know, what's happening in business. You know, money makes the world go round. What's going on culturally in different parts of the planet. You know, it's very, very easy to become you know, fixed in a silo of your own kind of cultural thinking. So it's good to kind of check out what other people's take on it here. You know, so here, for example, we have an Arabian fantasy relating to something to do with the galaxy. I don't know, I haven't listened to it, but I'm interested to. I'll go and maybe check that out later. Wonder Woman proves superhero movies don't need superstars. Obviously this is the new Wonder Woman movie. So as you can see, it's very broad, as I say, in its scope, and if you're into gear and gadgets and gizmos, this is also the site for you. It's very, very up to date and looks at all the latest tech and products that are kind of hitting the market, or about to hit the market, or seeking funding to hit the market in the form of Kickstarter projects and all that. So yeah, this is Wired. It also never forgets its kind of science roots, so there is a lot of interesting science-based content on there, and I think that that's becoming more and more important than ever, that we, you know, in the face of people like Trump, we do not forget just how important science is, and how it might yet save the planet. Who knows? We'll see, I guess. Alrighty, moving on. Coroflot. Now, Coroflot is basically a portfolio site. That is to say, it's as much for you to use as a place to upload your work and share it with the global design community. Okay, so you can use it as a portfolio site, and obviously you can view what other people are producing, creating, and posting. You know, and it's, I would suggest, probably a little more geared towards product designers than interior or architecture students, but it's all good. It's all good. So I would definitely recommend you getting yourself onto Coroflot and uploading a few of your better pieces. Only ever post your good work, your best work. Okay? Because, you know, it's like everything, it will benefit from sharing. You will get feedback. You know, people will be able to comment on it. Unfortunately, they haven't commented on this particular design, whatever it may be, for Mercedes by Dimitri, who's got a PhD. He's a clever guy, Dimitri. I'm going to check you out in a minute, Dimitri, and I'm going to log in and comment on your project. I'm going to sign in. If I can remember my sign in. No, I can't sign in right now, Dimitri. I'm so sorry about that. I would have loved to comment on your project, but I will once I recall my password. And I'll let you know what I think, and it'll be positive. Don't start trolling other people on the in the Coroflot, guys. I mean, don't start trolling, full stop, really. But you know, if you're gonna do it somewhere else. only ever leave positive encouragement or constructive criticism at best. Okay. What else can we say about Coroflot? It has a very useful, again, jobs section, similar to Dezeen, but not quite as international in its outlook, much more US focused, I would say. But it does have nice breakdown of categories, so you can, decide, I want to work as an architect, or I want to work in animation. And immediately, we've got 3 visualization specialists required, but they're all in Atlanta, Coopersburg, Cincinnati. They're all American. Okay. What about architecture? Anything else in architecture? Charlotte, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Munich, Germany. So we've got, and that's a furniture design post. Birmingham, Ahmedabad, India. Oh, they need a dean of faculty for architecture. I wonder if I can go for this. No, maybe not. I've done my stint in India, and I'm not really thinking about heading back there just anytime soon, to be honest. But anyway, that's the design jobs, and then as I say, you can also browse by people, which you can seek out by location. I'm going to see if there's anyone from London around. We've got some nice illustrators, we've got some industrial designers in London, we've got some photographers in London. Of course, we've got amazing talent in London, but then there's amazing talent everywhere. That's the beauty of the internet, right? Okay. If you want to find out how much you're worth, how much you think you should be getting paid, then there's a design salary guide. I'm not going to look at that right now. I don't want to depress myself when I find out I'm getting nowhere near my actual worth, no doubt. And then there's other interesting stuff in the form of the Coroflot blog. Okay, so yeah, Coroflot, nice site. I like it. A little bit too American bias, Coroflot, if you're listening, but you can think about that. Okay, so moving on to Behance, I don't know. Behance, as I call it, is another portfolio website which is actually owned by Adobe. As you can see, you can decide what you wish to see and follow, basically creative work in what's your area of interest? Graphic design, motion graphics, architecture, product design, photography, advertising, fine arts, game design, crafts, sound even. It's a first for me. I didn't notice before that they actually have a separate category for sound design. Interesting, might check that one out. Okay, so there's my custom feed now. And I'm gonna say yes please. I want inspiration and updates about new features on Behance. And that's gonna come straight to my inbox. And I can change that, of course, in my account settings. So there you go, there's the layout. Once you've signed in and done all that stuff at the beginning, I set up a new account, obviously, just to show you the basics of logging in, etc. to Behance. As you can see, a nice layout, and now it's showing me projects based on my preferences that I've just set up there at the beginning. So I'm seeing stuff related to graphic design, to architecture, to motion graphics and photography, and yeah, so it all looks pretty cool. What should we check out? Fancy a quick look at some. We haven't really looked at any graphic design right this morning. Let's check out some graphic design. This is by Hey Studio, who I know nothing about. Not sure what this project is about either. It looks like a poster design, perhaps, culture électronique et art numérique. So they're obviously French. Yes, it's a festival taking place in Nantes, in France. So I'll go down and check that out maybe when I'm next down in the south of France. So looks interesting. I'm gonna appreciate that project by Hey Studio, and let's have a look at the next thing. This is the next project. Is a bit of architecture. This is the brick house, which is a house for a family of 5 somewhere in, I have no idea where actually, by Stanislav, who is in the Ukraine, Kiev. Alright? Very dark and moody photography. I'm not sure if it's a little too dark actually, if I'm honest with you, Stanislav. But yeah, I kind of like it. So certainly it's interesting looking. I would like to see a bit more of the interior, but I'm going to appreciate you. I'm gonna follow you, Stanislav, actually. So you get the idea. You know, Behance is kind of, I suppose, like a specialized version of Facebook, right? It's very, very focused on, architecture, design, graphics, and blah blah blah. It's a community. Again, you can comment. Nice work. I'm just going to say nice work. I'm not going to say the photography is too dark. Am I? Am I going to troll him at this early stage? No. Of course, I'm a nice person. I'm not gonna bring him down. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So yeah, that's essentially how Behance works. Obviously, you can post your own work too in your profile. My projects, of course, I have 0 projects at the moment. I have another portfolio on here somewhere. There is a search facility. Let's see if I can do the ultimate ego trip and find myself on Behance. There you go, there's my stuff, some of it anyway. So there's some of my interior and exhibition, and my architecture, my architectural photography, and my 3D animation, and my print, my furniture design. Oh my god, I'm so talented! And my fashion photography, and my 3D print. You know, aren't you lucky to be in the hands of such an all-rounder, people? No, seriously, I mean, you know, if you like my stuff, please join Behance and leave some comments and like and blah blah blah. Do the thing. Yeah, so what else can we say about Behance? Also has a useful jobs section, which you can filter by country. I'm not sure we're going to find much in Andorra or Algeria right now, certainly not in Afghanistan. Interesting. Where will we find work these days? Where would you fancy going? Costa Rica? I did go to Costa Rica once. I can't remember what's the name of the capital. Nothing doing there at the moment. Ireland maybe? Let's see, a complete... No, nothing happening in Ireland. Oh dear. No jobs anywhere, it would seem. What about the UK then? There must be jobs in the UK, surely. Yes, at last. We've got some internships going in London, and some product designers are required, and some motion designers. So it does work at least. So you can see that. Yeah, you can filter by field. There are no jobs for architects at the moment, according to Behance, but it is more biased, I would suggest, towards graphic design, product design, and perhaps even photography. You know, there's some quite nice photography stuff in Behance, because it's basically an offshoot of Adobe. What's nice about Adobe and Behance, if you build a Behance portfolio, you can also link it into your Adobe.com portfolio very easily. I'm not going to do this right now, obviously, but yeah, links to the Creative Cloud and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely one worth joining, looking at. Become part of the Behance community, people. Okay. British Journal of Photography. I've tended to focus on architecture, design, interiors, obviously throughout this vidcast, whatever you want to call it, but I am going to just mention at least a little bit about photography because I'm into photography. The British Journal of Photography is still a great magazine for photographers, I would suggest, and the web version of the magazine is pretty much a web version of the magazine. Breaks down into the current stories that you will find in the magazine, and it's weekly, I think, still. So yeah, it's pretty current and useful if you're looking as a student for ways of furthering your career in the form of awards, for example, with the BJ Breakthrough Awards, for example, which is I think an ongoing just gone actually. We've just had the latest version of the BJ Breakthroughs last Monday the 15th of May, but yeah, so allows you to basically enter a competition, and there are some pretty high value prizes, and if you win, obviously your work will be exhibited widely, and you will definitely make your mark on the world stage should you win the BJP Breakthrough .com. What else can we say? We can have a look at the past winners, just out of interest. Interestingly, the home instruction manual, potted plants, lotus flowers. Okay, so documentary photography, young Dubliners, women in the church, buffalo that could not drink. So yeah, it looks like may possibly be some interesting stuff there. Let's just go back to. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be an easy way to get back to the main site. That's a navigation issue, BJP, you might want to look at. But yeah, some cool stuff. How to create a groundbreaking photo book. This splash screen is a little bit annoying, I've got to say, but I'm going to try my best to ignore it. And there is, again, a useful jobs component to this site, so you can find work within the photography field, stories, 10 emerging and established photographers, So yeah, if you're into photography, it's a good one. There are also links through to other interesting photography websites. I'm not going to dwell on it too long. I am going to quickly move on now to Design Inspiration. Design Inspiration, do you get that? So this is a site, I've only come across it fairly recently, to be honest with you, so I haven't really gotten into it. It's kind of like Pinterest, if you're familiar with Pinterest. So you can just basically scroll through for hours on end images of content that you're kind of interested in, which you give it through keywords. As you can see, I've banged in quickly architecture. I might want to narrow it down to architecture and house, for example, and then I might want to look at the interiors. Just so it breaks it down in a way that's very, very simple to grasp and get to grips with. Kind of like the look of this. This is a bit like my place. Give me some ideas. It's certainly how I'd like it to look. looks nothing like that at the moment. But lots of beautiful imagery, lots of nice inspiration there. So this would be the kind of site I would be going to for inspiration at the start of a project. Closely related, of course, and I just mentioned it, is Pinterest. I'm sure you know Pinterest by now. It's been around for quite a while. It's this sort of internet's answer to scrapbooks. Again, it's just imagery based. You can scroll through, you can search for stuff. I don't know, what am I looking for today? I'm interested in rugs, I don't know why. I'm thinking of putting a new rug in my apartment. Let's see what's around, what other people are doing. So yeah, you can see it, and then I can quickly save the stuff that I'm interested in. I haven't actually got a rugs board. I'm going to make one right now. How exciting is that? Is it going to be a secret? No? Oh, yes, no, I leave it off. I just create my rugs board with that nice, beautiful Moroccan board. This one's kind of interesting too. This like patterned hexagons from Bow Concept. Yeah, so I'm going to add that to my rugs board. And I mean, I love it. You know, Pinterest is just one of those things you can kind of just chill out in the afternoon, listen to some nice music, and yeah, Pinterest, and save stuff and build up your collections for hours, if you're me. And that's it, really. We've covered, just to remind you, Dezeen, the Design Chaser, Design Milk, and Architizer, and Wired, and Coroflot, and Behance, and the British Journal of Photography, BJP, online, and Design Inspiration, and Pinterest. I'm going to finally just mention, although it's not particularly a site to necessarily go to for inspiration, I'm going to mention Quora because it's a site I use a lot. It's a good place to ask questions. This is where the idea for this particular collection came from. Somebody asked a question on Quora: is there any website, blog, or Instagram account to find inspiration? Could be for art, photography, graphic design, interior design, architecture, quotes, travel, cool stuff, etc. So this was a question somebody asked on Quora. That's the idea on Quora. You can ask questions, but it doesn't have to be about design. It can be about anything, you know, why do women like taking selfie? Why do women take so many selfies? It's a question that's been asked already. It's puzzled me for a while now. 11 answers. You know, on why women take selfies, and there's lots of serious answers actually, some based on research and some based on observation. But anyway, we're getting off topic, people. We're going to go back to, you know, my original answer to this question, which you can go onto Quora and find. Featured a lot of the websites that I've just been through this morning. That's it. That's about all I'm going to cover this morning. I've probably yabbered on for far too long anyway. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're going to like and subscribe. If you've got any questions, you can leave them below there in the comments. You can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram, of course, all the usual social media stuff. But for now, that's it from me, and thank you so much to Stacey for that beautiful soundtrack. And I am going to love you and leave you and see you the next time. Take care. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this Design Radio vidcast. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button, and feel free to leave some comments. Let me know the kind of thing that you would like to see more of on this channel. It's a lot of fun to make these videos, but I want to make them as interesting, informative, relevant as possible for you. So please let me know what you think. Until the next time, take care, and thank you so much, and I'll see you again.